Hi Natascha, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you.
I'm Fiona. I'm from True Legal Media. We're an online magazine, as you know.
Yes.
It's an inspirational and motivational magazine, mostly concentrating on women and children. And yes, can you introduce yourself to our readers?
Yes, I can. I'm Natascha Proost. I'm originally from Belgium. I'm 43 years old. I have a son who's 18.
Okay.
And I've been in marketing and sales all my life. So yeah, that's the big picture.
Oh, okay. And then, what have you been doing before you joined the Africa Center for HIV and AIDS Management?
Well, I've always worked for big companies, multinationals. BP Chemicals, Union Carbide, Dow Chemicals, all those big, chemical giants. I learned a lot there, and I also thought after, my first 40 years on the globe, am I going to do this for another 40 years? And I decided I didn't feel happy with that, and I wanted really to give something back to society.
Okay.
And I came on holiday to South Africa.
All right.
And I
never left.
The story of many people.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah.
And tell me, what exactly do you do at your HIV and AIDS management?
So I was part of the Africa Center for HIV and AIDS Management in Stellenbosch for about a year. What they do exactly, they have two things. They have an academic program, so they teach anyone who wants to. Anyone can become a student about HIV and AIDS management in the workplace, which is very important. So you can get a master's degree, you can get a PhD. So that's the academic program. Hope Project, that is from the university. They have 36 different projects more or less, but one of them is the HIV and AIDS Center. Besides that, they are also into community interaction, which I love.
Yes.
It's an educational theatre. So they go around actually the whole of South Africa. They've been focusing on the Western Cape, but they're actually covering the whole of South Africa. Whenever they get invited, they will go. With a 30-minute musical, they do that in either Afrikaans or English. And they will sing and dance and have a whole drama group performing for you on HIV and AIDS issues.
Oh, wow.
The energy is very high, and afterwards people can get tested for free because we work together with an NPO called At Heart.
All right.
And it's amazing. Really, it reaches out to every part of the community. It doesn't matter what color you are, what language you speak, what religion you are. You can see if you live through it, the energy is amazing.
And do you guys get invited, or do you identify?
We do both. We do both. So we do have invitations from companies or even Rotary clubs sometimes, but it can be churches, communities, hospitals. NGOs, everything really. Yeah, we also go to companies like ESCOM, for example, and we work by what we call the Robin Hood principle. So it means big organizations. Yes, they can pay us to do that. Others, like NPOs, we go there for free. Yeah.
And tell me, did you study anything at all related to HIV, or did it just happen?
It did not just happen, but, the HIV/AIDS part just happened. But on the other hand, I don't like to say that, because I always believe that there's no such thing as coincidence in life. Sort of God, the universe, will bring you into a certain atmosphere of people, and that's how I met the two professors that actually run the Africa Center. That's Jimmy Earl Perry, he's originally from the States, and Professor Jan de Tooy, who's the director, and he is South African. So I met them through mutual friends, and it was like, what are you doing? I'm doing marketing, and so, but we need somebody like you. And I said, I would love to do it, because I said it's no coincidence, because when I came out here, I was already in Belgium looking for opportunities to work for a non-profit organization. And it was like a gift from heaven to me.
Everything just gelled together.
Absolutely.
And tell me, what else would you be doing if you were not working with this project?
Well, depends, sort of, it's a big question, this one. I would be, if I would still be in Belgium, it would be a different thing. I would still be multinationals, most probably.
Yes.
But I chose to get out of that. So here, there's so much to do. There is, you know, there's so many people that are doing such good stuff, reaching out into communities to help. I'm just giving a random example. A friend of mine, her mother runs a little school called Jakkerland, and they are based in Jamestown near Stellenbosch. I got to meet the people also by coincidence.
Yes.
I think they're doing a great job, but they're struggling. They're struggling for money. And I just offered to set up like a Facebook page, and now I spoke to them, and maybe we're going to do like a website page and stuff, so to get them on the net, because these days that's the way to get sponsors. Yeah,
and assistance.
So there's lots of stuff to do. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and what are some of the challenges that you face as a female in South Africa?
Some of the challenges, you know, I was thinking about that, and it's usually I always come to the same conclusion, because we tend to sort of split the world up and put these little borders and frontiers everywhere. And I see the world as one big place. I've been blessed to be able to travel around quite a lot. I lived in Paris for a while, lived in Vienna for a while, and just was able to travel. And then you actually see that the core of a human being, no matter what his religion or beliefs or culture is the same, you know, and that's what it's about for me. So yeah, the challenges for women, first of all, I was a single mother most of my life, and I think those challenges are highly underestimated still. I think especially if I look around in South Africa and see friends in different communities I have. You know, I never used to say this, and this is really new to me, because as a Belgian I didn't do this. But when I came here, people explained the concept to me, and they said, you're either white, or you're colored, or you're black. And I went like, oh.
Or you're foreigner.
I'm sort of like, we're human.
Yes.
But apparently that's, you know, I'm sort of
the boundaries
hippie, peace and love kind of person. So, but it's true, it's the same everywhere. I see people struggle. As single women, raising children, money, but also being accepted by society still. Yes. And that is for me, any kind of stigma. It can be HIV, AIDS related, or being a single mother, or sexually based. Any kind of stigma is wrong. I'm sorry.
And in comparison to Belgium or your travels, would you say South African women are more lacking support from their male counterpart?
There is a difference. I think it's sort of an historically grown little difference. But it's difficult to pinpoint, because if I look at my Afrikaans-speaking friends, or even the English-speaking friends, or the black community people I know, or the colored community, there are slightly different issues there. Yes. Just because, you know, life is not a competition. We do not start at the same, you know, line, wearing the same kind of sneakers and shorts, which makes it easy to compete.
Yes, yes.
We all start, and some of us have nothing.
Some have different circumstances.
Yes, and according to that, it's just a lot harder for some of these people. But you know, I think there's lots of possibilities to support and uplift people.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is more out in the open in South Africa. You know, in Europe we tend to say, oh no, we don't have all that. First world country, third world country. I don't see it that way either. Because if I stand at a traffic light in Brussels, there's also a guy asking me for money. And they come from Eastern European countries, where there was war and there were a lot of inequalities and lots of stuff that still needs to be resolved. You know, if you look at Russia these days, if you look into it from an HIV/AIDS point of view as well, the LGBT, the people, their sexuality is not being recognized in this day and age. So there's a lot of stuff that's still,
The dynamics are just different.
The dynamics are different, but you know, it's all it boils down to the same thing. We still have a long way to go. but I trust that the best will happen.
You know me too. I'm a very positive person. And what is your definition, would you say, of perfect success to you? What does it mean to be happy and fulfilled?
I actually wrote something down about that because it's, for me, that's actually quite a difficult question, because you hear a lot of talk about success. It means a lot to people, but to me, it's got this little awkward connotation to it, like money. It's a good thing if the intentions are good behind it. So just looking at what I wrote here, for me, success does not equal happiness or fulfillment. Happiness or fulfillment comes from the inside. You have to find your happiness first, and there's nobody, not even in your family, that can do that for you. No. It comes from the heart. For some people, it comes from your prayers, from God. It depends. So, and that's when you can be successful. If you are more like a being instead of a doing. Yes. That's what it's the balance. Yeah.
And are you happy? Do you think, to your definition,
yeah,
you would call yourself successful country?
You know, what's that successful word? I feel successful. I don't know if I would go by the regular standards of success, where you have a huge bank account and a very shiny car. I don't go by those standards, so that's not what I see as success. But that's just me personally. I know a lot of people do that differently, but I'm very happy and I'm very fulfilled. Yeah.
So you say it's not money, it's not title.
No, it's not. For me, there's one thing that unites us all. We're born and we die.
Yes.
And when we die, there's nothing we can take with us but our heart and our soul.
Yes.
So that's what I want to gather. The experiences give me the fulfillment, and that's, for me, success. Yeah.
And what is your opinion about what government should do to help or reach out to women in South Africa?
I did write down something about that as well, because that's quite important to me. You know, what I've been doing for the Africa Center was also a newsletter. And that newsletter allowed me to talk to a lot of people that were studying with us as well. Now, recently I interviewed a person called Pumla Boy, and she is the first visually impaired woman that actually finished her studies with us. And she has a PhD now.
In your particular field? Or
yes, in HIV and AIDS management. So, what she said to me, and that sort of remains with me now, is what she said to me is that she wanted more support from government for people that live with a handicap. And it's not only the support, it's also the upliftment that comes with that. So it's about cooperation to do that. So if the government can cooperate with non-profit organizations, for example, that'll be a step up already, because it's about root cause. And often we just extinguish the little fires here and there.
And then it doesn't have that ripple effect.
Exactly.
And tell me, concerning Pumla,
yes,
was she able to read and write before she, or?
Yes, no, she's 27 now, and she works at a hospital in Johannesburg on the switchboard. And she could see perfectly until a few years ago.
Okay.
And then she had to have a cataract operation, and something went wrong. Okay. And she's completely blind now.
So now she had to rehabilitate herself.
Yes, and I must say she was one of our most amazing students.
So she's had to adapt to
exactly.
reading and writing.
Yes.
For blind, especially.
Exactly.
Okay,
so there's a lot of great women out there, but I've got other students that are not women, that are men.
Yeah.
They've done great as well. You know, that come from countries torn by war and had to sort of, build up everything again with their families here, which is very hard. So yeah, government, I think, should work closer together with humanitarian organizations on those matters. And last Thursday, I actually visited the non-profit organization Collaboration Dialogue that was held at the waterfront at the Nedbank offices there, which was hugely interesting because somebody from the Department for the Department for Social Development actually came to speak. And besides that, there were, I think, about 200 people that were all from different NPOs.
Okay, wow.
And it's amazing to see how, like for example, that part of government that is the Departments for Social Development is now working together to make that legislation more accessible. So NPOs can do their job and feel supported in doing so. And that's just amazing.
Because in the past they were contrasting.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Like
so
they will try to do something and then say it's social worker's job, etc., etc.
It's about listening to each other.
Okay.
Exactly that, yeah.
And in terms of you, what type of training or courses have you done in your lifetime?
I did marketing. Well, I started out doing languages in school,
Oh, wow.
which in Belgium is necessary because we're a small country. So it's Vlaams, it's Dutch, it's English, it's French, it's German, a little bit of Spanish, so that was fun.
So in order for you guys to be global, you need to...
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, to be accessible into the business world, you need to really have those skills. And in marketing and advertising. But, you know, while you go into your business world, you, in multinationals, get opportunities to study. And I was very lucky. I did negotiating skills, basic leadership skills, you know, all those things throughout the years. So
You
you
build
grow.
up quite a
You
portfolio for yourself.
Yeah, it's nice. You get the opportunity to grow, and that's important, yeah.
And what is the greatest challenge you think you face in your kind of field? You know, like the NGO and development.
The greatest challenge would be to be able to continue the work, because it's always the same thing, boils down to money.
Funds, resources.
Yes.
They restrict
Exactly
you.
that. Yes. And sometimes it's, you know, one NPO just needs some time, like from volunteers, to help them. Other NPOs need money and others need goods. You know, there's in South Africa alone over 120,000 different NPOs. So,
Is it? Wow.
yeah.
I don't know. It's a lot.
Absolutely.
And imagine if they were all effective, the difference it would be.
Yes, yeah. So but there's surely a lot of them doing great jobs, I see. You know, I've had the opportunity to visit a lot of them. For example, Ubuntu Africa. As an American, really young lady who set it all up. Also HIV/AIDS kids.
Wow.
They work in Khayelitsha. You should actually just go and have a look there. They're amazing. They've got a very nice video on their website.
Is it an orphanage kind of setup?
No, they actually have HIV/AIDS kids in after school for camps as well. They've got social workers. They help them with their medication, but also with teaching, educating, because that's the most important thing.
Empowering them as individuals.
Yes, exactly that, and taking away the stigma for them as much as possible. Yeah, absolutely.
And what were your personal dreams as a child?
Well, I wanted to be a ballerina.
What you'd say, Miss World?
Well, no, what I wanted to do was, you know, I was that kind of child that would walk on the grass and be scared to hurt it. You know, I would be overly sensitive about lots of stuff. So yes, in a way what you're saying is when I would watch TV, and you know, people go like, oh, it's boring. But I'm like that. I just, yeah, when I want to wish for something, I wish for world peace. Might be boring, but it's true.
And what, can you name a person who has been a tremendous impact on you and in your field?
Well, in the field of HIV/AIDS, there's one person particularly by the name of Greg Louganis, who I think is amazing. You know, we're talking in HIV/AIDS, there's a lot of stigma going on, so a lot of low self-esteem, and I think he is great in motivating people by just telling them his story. And I think that's the best way to go, by sharing, being honest about being scared, because we all are, and being honest about sharing those feelings. Sometimes, yes, you want to give in, yes, you want to stop, you know, and by doing that, sharing that story, you give other people the courage to continue, because you know, a lot of the world, especially when you switch on a television, it's all so perfect. You know, ads, commercials. We tend to believe that stuff. Well, it's not the real world. We all have our fears, and we all have our issues and problems. We grew up with stuff that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yes.
And we need to get over that, and we need to help each other to get over that. There's no way you're going to do anything in life on your own. If you want to be successful, that's the way. It's to create win-win situations. Do it together. That's the only way.
And in your personal life, anybody that had an impact on who Natascha is?
I think there were so many people. Well, I think one of them was definitely my mom. She was also a single mom.
Okay.
And my stepdad. At a later stage, I had a very, very nice, I was blessed with a very, very nice stepdad who taught me all about art and stuff. And yeah, it did uplift me a lot. So I'm very happy for that. Yeah, my family, I suppose. And my big, big superstar now is my son.
Okay, of course. And how old is he?
18 in a couple of weeks' time. He is, yeah, he's such a kind heart, big soul. And I see that in the new generation, not only with him. I see that with so many people I meet here of 16, 17, 18 years old. They have a lot of wisdom.
Yes,
It's like
and they
old
already
souls
know
in
what
young
they
bodies.
want.
Yes,
They're very
beautiful.
informed.
Yes, and I hope it continues that way. Yeah.
And what is the most important decision you've ever had to make in your personal or professional life?
Well, my personal life was having my son, and in a way also knowing that I would be taking care of him alone. And
That's at 25, right?
I'm sorry?
You had him at about 25.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, you're good at maths.
I am.
So yeah, exactly that. And then on a more recent level, the fact that I decided to come and live in South Africa. On a bit of a whim, it might seem to a lot of people, but sometimes you just have to go and follow your heart.
Yeah.
And just do what your heart tells you to. And sometimes maybe other people don't call it your heart. You know, maybe it's
They've
something
got their
else.
own thing, like the
Maybe
sun
it's something
trap.
higher. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I love to sort of follow the road of what your gut instinct is saying to you, and it makes a difference. Yeah.
And it's worked for you.
It did. Absolutely.
Which is what is the most important thing to your life? Is it mission, core values, or profit?
I think that's a very important question. I wrote down, it's a combination of core values and vision, because the core values allow you to have the vision.
Okay.
The mission is that you should recognize, as I just said, your individual talents, and that you allow yourself to follow your heart. It's so easy to drown out that voice inside with all the voices coming from outside. No, you're not going to make enough money. No, this is not going to be good for you because of this and this. Sometimes you just have to go out on a limb, do it alone, and then you'll see you're never alone. You will gather new people around you that will support you. And that's how you know you're actually on a winning mission there. So yeah, it's definitely not profit for me. You know, you need the good stuff. You know, it's nice to have nice clothes, and of course, you know, these are things. People need food, and people need shelter, and preferably nice. You know, because it lifts you up as well. Beauty lifts people up. Art,
comfort.
You know. Yes, comfort. No, it's necessary, but it shouldn't. You know, one thing should balance the other one out. Again, it's about intention. When it's all about the money, you lose track of everything that's important. And what are you here for then? What is your life about?
Purpose.
Yeah.
And what would you say to young South Africans at the moment who are at a crossroad trying to decide on their careers?
Perseverance and belief. And I see that a lot, and I must say, I honor South Africans for that, their faith. So when I spoke to the students at the Africa Center, or I met with the young people that are part of the educational theatre group, there is a lot of goodwill. There's a lot of knowledge and wisdom. Use it, and persevere in the fact that you also have this old knowledge, the culture. That's what I mean by old knowledge. It's your core knowledge of what your grandfather and great-grandfather or mother did and taught you. Combine that with what you learned from modern technology, and it's perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
Something will come up.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you advised a young girl to forget about rich men and pursue their studies, why would you say that?
Well, because you have to do your stuff on your own. You don't have to rely on anybody else. It doesn't mean that you can't accept support. That's something else. There's a fine line between those two things. Again, it's about intention. Anything a human being does, it depends on the energy. If you want to take advantage of something, it's going to be a completely different outcome. So, look, if you fall in love and you want to get married and you want to have kids, by all means do.
Yeah.
But if you feel you have to combine that with your studies, or you can, that's important for you. You can't say on a general level now you all have to do this and that, because you can. If you don't have the possibilities to go to university, let's say, just because it doesn't feel right. Sometimes you have the money, but it doesn't feel right because you really don't want to. But you can learn stuff from experience as well when you connect to the right people and, do something from that point of view. But it's all about education and learning. Keep on learning until the day you die. That's what I say. If there's one day I haven't learned anything in my life, that would be a wasted day. Yeah, absolutely.
And if there's one thing that you say that a young South African girl can take from you, as a person and your successes, what would that be that you know about yourself?
Well, I think it's very important to forget about religion. I mean, it's dividing people.
Okay.
I mean, religion is important. Spirituality is important because it teaches you your core values. But what I mean is, forget about color, forget about language, forget about boundaries and frontiers, forget about all those mankind created things, and go beyond that. Just live from your heart, live from your morals. It's a guidance that is in each and every one of us. But I can imagine, because with the educational theatre, I've heard and I've seen a lot of cases where if you grow up in an environment where you don't see those core values around you as a child, because, for example, your mother and father are in prison, and your grandfather and your grandmother is in prison, and everybody around you is taking tick, then it's very hard to explain about a core value. And that's also something that needs to be taught. It's like a foreign language. Yes, it is, yeah. So there's a lot of work for us to be done, but it's all about keeping one thing in mind, I think, and then it's love.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And how do you identify the projects that you want to embark on? Okay,
well, it's...
or support, really.
Yeah, like for example, I used to, when I lived in Belgium still, I used to support Médecins Sans Frontières in French, is Doctors Without Borders in English.
Okay, I heard that in movies.
Yeah, and then World Wildlife Fund, for example. I used to give both of them on a regular on a monthly basis, 50 euros, which is about 500 rand. I came to South Africa. I don't have those means anymore. I said goodbye to that, but I have time now to donate. So if I see that friends of mine are helping out, for example, on Saturday in Athlone at the Sarah Fox Children's Hospital, I will do that. For example, I mentioned Ubuntu Africa. If they can benefit from my relationships with other people, I will do that for them. I will connect. And you see, there's many, many ways you can actually help each other. a very silly thing as well. One of my friends, she lives in Sir Laurie Sparse Village, which is a very small township in the Helderberg area. And she's also a single mom raising a 16-year-old daughter. And she was struggling to find a job. So Caroline and I, every Tuesday, I go and get her, I bring her to my house, and I put her in front of the computer, and we do stuff together, so she gets the basic computer skills. It's just, it's simple.
The little everyday thing.
It's a little bit, and we're such good friends in the meantime, and she's got, in the meantime, has been given opportunities to get a little scholarship and stuff like that. So you see, that's the only thing you need to do. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money.
Not at all. And tell me, with your philanthropical heart, how do you ensure that people don't abuse it? You know, your assistance.
It's very funny that you should mention that, and I saw that, and I thought like, oh, that's amazing, because I was talking to a friend of mine who's also from Belgium, and she's been studying Afrikaans at Stellenbosch University. She's younger, she's 27, and she asked me exactly the same question. And I think it's here, it's in your mindset. So whenever I give something, I want to give with an open hand. Maybe 5 rand, maybe something I own, like a piece of clothing that somebody else needs. It may be maybe 100 rand. Okay, whatever I give, I want to give with an open hand. That means I don't want to know what you do with it. If you use it for what you say you're going to use it, and that's a good cause, thank you. Then you've honored me.
Yes.
If you're not honoring me in that, that is not my problem anymore.
Yes. Because your heart was in the right place.
Yes, it is. It's about karma for me. It'll come back. So yeah, I trust God in that. Absolutely.
Hallelujah.
There you go.
And how do you balance work and other activities?
Well, it's easier now because my son is obviously 18. He's still studying in Belgium. He comes over now and again. And before that, as a single mom, it was hectic. It was crazy. And you didn't have time to yourself. So I think every single mother in the world knows that problem. And then there's money issues, and so there's a lot of balancing going on all the time. So I think for me, by meditating, by doing yoga, and by praying, that helped to balance me out. I'm not saying I'm balanced out all the time, don't get me wrong. I make a lot of mistakes, but I learned from my mistakes as well, and that's it. And I've got an amazing son who actually supports me all the way. And he said to me, Mom, you've done so much for me, and now do something for you. And if that's helping out other people in South Africa, or even helping out yourself, being there, that's fine. So I think that's important as well, to get a little peace of mind.
Have you ever married or?
Yes, I was married, and I got divorced, and that's about it.
How can you let go of such a woman with such a good heart?
Oh well, maybe it's just we need different. I think we need different people in life.
Or it was your God; He didn't want you in that marriage.
Well, you see, and then we just do what we have to in another level. Yeah, absolutely.
And a final word of inspiration to our women and young women out there, please.
A final word of inspiration. I wrote something down. To me, it's important that anyone can connect and live from the heart, and remembering that what you give with the right intention will come back to you. You don't have to expect it to come back to you though, but you have to allow it to come back to you. Yeah, and I think that's the most important thing. Yeah, and especially for women and girls in South Africa, you just keep up the good work, because I love you guys. You're great.
Thank you.
Thank you.